Okay, so we'll go and look at some IK feet now. Hopefully we've got our mesh and our skeleton and everything is bending reasonably well. And we've got the legs going okay, the spine and the tail, etc. Is all working without any huge deformities of the vertex sticking out every now and then. That needs to be solved. We've got a basic piece of skin now. We can go ahead and IK. I mean, at this point, we could now export it, and this should go into Unreal without any problems. And we could go ahead and animate it. And if this is as far as you want to go, then that's absolutely fine. But it doesn't take much to go from what we have here on screen to getting something a bit more controllable. And we're going to add some IK handles to it. So the best way to get to it is along the menu bar here. We have the add IK handle icon. If you just click on it, you need to select the top of the bone, which is this one here, so the thigh, and then down to where you have the heel, or the bottom of the leg. When we've got that sorted, the bones will turn purple to show you that they have now been affected by something else, and you have a really small IK handle over in the corner here. If you switch to move and then start moving this about, you can see that you can now control these two bones with the IK handle, and you can animate this, and this is probably the best way you're going to go about actually animating your mesh. Once you've got that into place, you can go ahead and start rotating other bones as well. But as you can see there, as we do this, that the IK handle isn't actually staying still. So we need a way of locking this IK handle to the ground when we actually move the rest of the body. So we look at that just in a few minutes, but if you just reset this back to where it was, we can have a look at some of the problems you may end up coming across. So if we do the same with this leg here at the back, and we just add an IK handle, so click on the thigh, and then go right down to where the heel is. Exactly the same thing happens again. Nothing looks any different. But if you try and move it now, the leg is bending in the wrong direction. So when we originally modeled this and done the skeleton, the bones were in a straight line. So when we attach the IK handle, Maya doesn't know which way we need this to bend in. So it's taking the correct guess with the first one, and on the back one it's taking a wrong guess. And if we work our way actually around the whole of the body, we might find that there's more than just one with this problem. So that leg seems to be okay. We know this leg's okay because we've already done it. And let's have a look at the back leg as well. So the two back legs seem to be wrong. So unless you want yours to run like that, which is probably unlikely, we're going to need to do a couple of little changes here before we actually add the IK handles. So if you just undo all of this and go back to where we have no handles. In order to help Maya out, we can pre-bend the leg, I guess, and then Maya will know that's how you want me to bend. I'll start doing it that way when you create the IK handle. So it's a really simple process. You just create the leg that was having the problem and just bend it ever so slightly. It really needs to be a small amount. I mean, what's that? -1.5 degrees. So now when you go and apply the IK handle, it should bend in the right direction. What we need to do first of all though is if you right click and hold on the bone and go across to set preferred angle, this is the angle that Maya will now see as the bend that needs to happen. So when we go to create the IK handle and go to move, it'll now bend in the correct direction. If you don't do set preferred angle and you do just rotate this, so this rear one was causing us problems as well, and then you just go and apply the IK handle, you can see that Maya still thinks that the preferred way of bending is upside down. So we just need to make sure that we click on this bone, right click, hold it down, go to set preferred angle. That then makes this the smaller angle of the two. So when we apply the IK handle, we now have the bone bending in the correct direction. So if we just apply it to these other two characters here, sorry, the other two legs, that one's fine. And the last one, that one's fine as well. So we have our slight spider leg character all set up now with IK handles, and you could start going around and starting to key these positions. The problem is that when we start moving the body around, the legs still go with it. Okay, we need the legs to basically stay still. So before we go any further, I just thought I'd have a quick look at the two characters. We have the hound here, and we've also got the heavier bear. Now, out of the two, the bear is going to be slightly easier to rig, similar to the ant-like creature we have, mainly because his feet are on the ground as well. So if we just hide the hound for a second, and if you go into the left view of this character, the way we can set the bones out, as in the previous video, we had perhaps the thigh there, the knee there, down to the ankle, and there's the foot. You could do it another way if you wished, and we could have deeper arm kind of thing, elbow, and then put perhaps where you think the ankle would be, somewhere around here. So you might find it more useful to put it in the middle and then go down. So there's two different ways of controlling this really, and as we go through how the foot placement works towards the end of this video, you might decide that this is the better way to go rather than this way. But to be honest, there isn't that much difference at our level really. But in terms of setting up the IK handles, your bend is already here, so you haven't got to deal with the problems we had with the previous creature where the ant had the straight legs and Maya was guessing wrongly with how it wanted the knee or the elbow to bend. So for this, if you just click on the IK handle, top of the leg, bottom of the leg, everything is absolutely fine there, and that shouldn't be a problem at all with how we want to deal with the animation. Similarly for the front leg as well, top of the bone, ankle area, and again we can do this with the leg, which is absolutely fine. If we take a look at the heavy guy though, sorry, the hound, we've got a slightly different problem with this animal, sorry, because he actually runs on his toes, so his foot is in the air. Now we can tackle this two ways. The second way is probably the better way to go, but it's worth saying both because you might get away with it. If we create the bones, so we create thigh, knee, down to kind of where you want the ankle maybe, or the pivot point, and then down to the toe, and then the end of it. And similarly with the front half, we have top of the leg, bottom of the leg, foot, toe. So there's the two ways we could have these characters. If it's possible, you can rig or put an IK handle at the top of this bone all the way down to the bottom, and Maya is absolutely fine with that, and it will try its best to try and bend all three bones at once, a bit like a spring compressing. If you get away with that, brilliant. That's kind of really handy. That might be all you actually need to do for your character, and to be honest with you, that's worked quite well. But you may find that if your bones are slightly out, or you've got a different setup, then you might not find that going through all three bones is useful. You might find that this bottom bone here is bending a lot quicker than the top one, or vice versa kind of thing. So you can just undo that perhaps and have a look at the front one now. So again, if you were to select the top and then go down to the actual foot placement, the chances of this bending correctly are not horrendous, but again, you know, it's up to you. It's a preference as to how you want to do this. You might find that's more than enough for you, in which case, great. If you want a little bit more control in terms of how it's bending, you could look at this in a different way. So if you do the same as what I've done with the other characters, where you would take it, thigh, calf, and attach it to the ankle. We've got this two-way control now, but you can see here that we need some way of controlling this. But all of these characters have a problem that we need to sort out. We need to keep this either flat, or we need to be able to bend it when we want. So with this one here, if we selected this IK handle, he's running on his toes, but you can see as we move it around, the toe is actually moving with it. And we could go in and rotate this and then carry on with the IK handle again. But then we get to this point, perhaps when the foot comes back onto the ground, and then you've got to spend the time keying it and rotating it back upwards again. And it's perhaps a task that you don't want to keep doing all the time. There is an easier way of doing this, and we're going to control the foot or the toe just with a little controller and a couple of constraints. So that aside, we'll get rid of the hound and the heavy creature. We'll concentrate on the light one again, and we'll set up some foot controls for these characters.